Welcome back everybody. Let's have a look at some of these coins then, shall we? We'll start with Bitcoin, we'll move on to Ethereum, XRP, Binance Coin, Harmony One and Matic, and we'll see what's going on, because obviously it's been a little disappointing these last few days. Things have been coming down, and in fact a bit more disappointing for me because the uptrend of this pitchfork has been broken to the down, which is unfortunate, but so it's now proved itself to be irrelevant, so we'll say goodbye to that. We'll see if we can work out what's going on and where it's going to go from here, shall we? So there's pros and cons to a move like this. Pros are you can buy at levels that look quite attractive. Cons are we don't know if it'll continue to go, because on the daily now it looks as though we've got an actual a descending trend forming, which means that we can bounce up from here, but until we take out areas such as 10,165 or higher and close above those areas, preferably around about 10,250 or more, we're actually in a descending channel. So you could probably chart this out to start with, choosing, shall we choose the wicks or shall we choose the candlesticks? We'll go for the wicks for ultimate effect. And there is a descending channel forming. And it's a matter of it's actually quite broad, isn't it? It's a broad channel there forming. So we're looking at perhaps maybe picking out supports and resistances within this channel. A lot of the time, though, descending, broadening wedges, I suppose, as you could just about class this one, just about, and it's very early in the making. Statistically, they often do break out to the up. But for the moment we're very early on in this, and so we've got to take it with a pinch of salt and see where we're going. So we do have a golden cross, we all know that, and we've been up for a very long time, which meant that the RSI had been quite extended, pushing up into the well, it wasn't massively overextended in all fairness, but now we're coming right down into the middle, pretty much. We are right in the middle, neutral territory now, so things are looking okay as far as that's concerned. The thing that concerns me a little more now is the MACD, which is basically in full bear mode, really. There's no turnaround at the moment on the daily. So it looks like we might be testing the lower range of this descending, broadening wedge. So I mean, it's the idea is, have we crashed here? Have we crashed? We crashed a little bit. Oh dear, that's not a good sign. So the idea is, we'll just have to wait and see how this one plays out. Hopefully this trend line here won't be broken to the down, because that'll be really bad. Hopefully what we'll do is we'll come up to test these levels here, and hopefully at some point soon break them. The idea generally would be that in March we should be up and away. That's when the cycle low should have been in by that, and we should be up and away at that point. But there is a descending channel now on Bitcoin, so that's going to dictate and overlap onto the rest of the market. So let's just see how these other coins look. Ethereum had been pumping like no tomorrow for quite a long period of time, actually, and very, very big pumps, in fact. Our golden cross is way underway at the moment. It's not really helping the price anymore. We should have really seen this as a telltale sign the other day when we couldn't peak above this level here. But you just never really know when coins are pumping, do you? It's very hard to tell the tops unless you're staring at them 24/7, which I don't have that opportunity anymore because I'm a father of two and blah blah blah. You've heard the situation I'm in. So a lot of my trading edge has been taken away from me. But I would like to have thought that back in the more recent history when we were trading Matic and we managed to call a top, I probably would have been able to call a top on this one. Just didn't have the time to do it. So it looks like we're coming down with that broadening wedge with Bitcoin. So there's nothing that will stop the altcoins falling if Bitcoin decides it wants to continue making new lows. What I would say is that we do have this level at the bottom of the Bollinger Band, which has got a nice extra support level here, which is the 50 EMA. Currently it looks like we're finding support on the 34 EMA, which is this big fat one here. But the 50 EMA should also hold us up as support. We're finding I guess nice bounces. I wouldn't call them a proper bounce, but we've got a decent sized wicks, showing that there is interest in buying this up, and that's a good thing. It's something that I noticed that we've got on most of these coins, apart from Harmony One, in fact, which looks like it's barely bouncing at all. So Harmony One out of all these looks bad, but we'll move on to that shortly. So yeah, well, as I said with Bitcoin, we've got a nice wick here on Ethereum. So the bouncing is taking place. Again, the direction looks like it wants to come down even more so, because we've got a MACD cross just taking place at the moment on the daily with Ethereum. So that looks like it wants to come down also. So let's have a look at where we stand with XRP. Now XRP is currently resting upon the descending trend line. This trend line is the one that we've had on the weekly, the one that we've been stuck beneath for 2 years. So to find ourselves above there still isn't a big surprise, but breaking down beneath there would be tragic, because breaking down beneath there would also mean that we break down probably beneath the 200 EMA, which would mean that the golden cross for XRP would be avoided for the foreseeable future, you know. So we do need to have a bounce with some of these guys now. We do really need to see some more sort of buybacks and upwards movements in order for this to progress. Now, when we're looking at XRP, yeah, we've got a MACD cross, which isn't great on the daily. No sign of bullish divergence on that on the daily. On the RSI, we're right in the middle, so it looks as though if we did decide to move up, we would have a nice bit of room to do so. So XRP holding on this trend line now, as it's, for me, to close above here and stay above here is very important, and not just to cause the golden cross, but to also prove my overall long-term strategy viable, which is that we've changed our trend, which was to stay above this descending trend that we've been in for 2 years. So we do need to stay above that descending trend. That's where we stand with XRP. Now Binance coin, again we have a nice bounce again on the 34 EMA. XRP went way beneath there, but it's holding above it for the moment. Again, you know, you've got to look at these buyback wicks as something to go by, and it's not great. We're still in the red. It's the second day in a significant red. But we're getting these bounces on these levels, so it's not all bad. Golden cross took place on Binance not too long ago, so we do have that golden cross, and we will have another golden cross on the simple moving averages, which will mean something soon. And that looks like it'll play out in the next couple of days. So I'm still bullish on the vast majority of all of these coins: Bitcoin, XRP, Ethereum, and Binance coin, all looking still bullish to me. But yeah, we've got this descending trend forming now, so. You know, the main thing to look at is Bitcoin. Bitcoin's going to dictate the rest of the market. You've heard it all before. That's all I ever really say, to be honest with you. Follow Bitcoin, chart Bitcoin, and the rest is generally going to follow. So Binance coin, very much the same as Ethereum, to be honest with you. Very much the same kind of chart. But if we do reverse this trend, these two will make decent moves. Ethereum especially. XRP was not got its golden cross, but it's still looking quite bullish, but it's not as bullish yet. Binance coin has recently got it, so I would expect decent moves from that if this trend continues to the up and we break out of this descending channel. Then that would be great. Let's look at Harmony 1. So Harmony 1 is very, very disappointing. In fact, let's chart this out from the top wick here down to the bottom. That is a retracement of 29%, so that's pretty bad. Let's have a look at Ethereum out of interest, see how far that's retraced at the moment. 14%. So I mean, Harmony 1's looking pretty severe, pretty tragic. In fact, in all fairness, you know, it's looking really bad. We're even getting downward slopes on almost all of these moving averages, including the green 50 exponential, which we're beneath. So we're pretty much beneath. In fact, we are beneath all major moving averages on this coin now, making our way down to the bottom of this Ichimoku cloud, which will end, I should say, in just under a week, in 6 days' time, and depending on where we are in price action, as long as we haven't fallen beneath, I'd say, levels of around about, we'll call it 500. Really, we need to stay above 500. Then there is a chance that this will all get bought back. But moving averages are all facing down. It's looking very, very bearish. Big steep cross here on the MACD with no bullish divergence whatsoever. It's all looking very bad for this coin now. 242 crossed beneath the 200, which is also again pretty bad. So it's not looking good for this one. I wouldn't really want to be involved in this one. And actually looking at it right now, see this blue line here, not the skinny one but the bigger one, that's looking like it wants to come down too. If that crosses over this this red one, which is your baseline, we'll have a conversion baseline Ichimoku cloud cross to the down, which would suggest that there will. This hasn't happened, by the way, and it doesn't look like it'll happen for a while. As long as we can, if we can pick up our price, it won't happen. But that would signify a downward trend for a prolonged period of time. So it's not looking very promising, unfortunately, with Harmony One. Let's have a look at Matic then. Matic is a similar looking chart, in fact, pretty bearish in all fairness. It's stuck within this. We've been in Matic has been descending for longer than Ethereum and these other coins, I should say. It peaked right up here on the 7th. When did we peak here? On the 15th. We peaked here on the 15th. We peaked here on the 13th. When did we peak here? On the 14th, so Harmony One has that going for it. Matic peaked on the 7th. So Matic has already started a descending formation now for twice as long as the top coins. Now, unlike Harmony One, we are still above most major moving averages. Smaller time frames are still above us. But we're at least above the 50, which is still good. It's not the end for Matic at all. I mean, we're above the 50, which is fine. It looks like we're getting supports between the 50 and the 34 EMA. But yeah, again, if we're going to be trading coins and we're going to be trading alts, for me the important ones are the big ones at the moment. These small cap coins like Matic, and I suppose Matic's still a small cap coin, but Harmony One, they're a lot more riskier, unfortunately, and you can see with the way that they fall, that low volume is a bad thing for small caps, because it doesn't take a great deal of money to be pulled out of them for them to really take a tumble. So that's what's been happening here. And with a chart looking like this on Harmony, it's not very promising indeed at all. We've got negative crosses, like I say, on the vast majority of them. And that Ichimoku cloud cross is very concerning to me if that takes place. That's not a good thing at all. That could mean all the way back down to where we started and maybe lower. That's what it could mean. It's still a brand new chart, so having an Ichi cloud cross on a daily doesn't mean a great deal, but it's one of the indicators that I like to trade, and like I say, if that did happen, it would be a no-go for me, unfortunately. That's pretty much all I've got for you at the moment. So we're looking to buy the blood, really. I'm buying the blood. I always buy the blood, to be honest with you, even in times like this when we do appear to be making lower highs and lower lows. It's worth a shot, and that's all I would say. I'm not a financial advisor, so it's definitely not financial advice. What I am doing is I am buying blood, and I always have tight stop losses when buying blood. My overall expectation is that if Bitcoin does break down further, it's unlikely to break down much further than about 8,800. Most of our major moving averages are still beneath us, which offers us lines of support, levels of support at all these levels, including the Bollinger Band on the daily. All decent levels of support are still beneath us on Bitcoin, so it's actually not as bad as it might feel if you're stuck in a trade or you're holding these coins and you've seen your portfolio decrease in value. I wouldn't worry about it too much. Again, with Ethereum, it had to cool down. It's gone up so much so soon that it has to come down. It's got the highest RSI out of all of these, so it has to come down. We need it to come down, in fact. So there's a healthy pullback. I mean, I've been involved in this coin for quite a while now, so I'm still obviously quite significantly up. So look at it like that. I mean, if you were me, when did I buy? I bought ages ago. It was before my daughter was just born, in fact. So my daughter was born on the, oh my god, I can't even remember the date she was born, the 23rd, I think. So I think I anticipated these moves. So I must have been back involved around about, I think it was about $160 or something I got involved. So I'm very happy. I've almost got $100 on every Ethereum that I own. So I'm doing okay, but it doesn't feel nice when you come back down in value like this. But realistically, in order to go up, we have to come down temporarily. Do you know what I mean? Every marathon runner needs to have a sip of water to keep going. You can't just do the whole marathon, without having a drink of water, or you get where I'm coming from. My analogies aren't the greatest, but you see where I'm coming from. All of these, the RSI is this is the water that it's taken, that it needs to sip in order for us to get that energy to pop back up again. And with most of these, we're coming into a neutral territory, so I'm quite happy. And do you know what? If they come down further, I'm still happy, because this is what we need. We're looking at something like Harmony 1. That's the only thing on this chart that currently I would say that is okay. The accumulation phase fizzled out and burned and has now died. And in fact, coming down to this price action here, it's the price where it's at right now is very depressing for that. It looks like a failed run, similar to that of Matic. However, like I said, Matic does have at least the major moving averages beneath it, which Harmony 1 doesn't have. But all of these other guys, they're okay. They're dictated by Bitcoin, and Bitcoin could come down to test these lower levels. 8,800 would be the absolute lowest. I'm going to leave it with you there. Don't worry. If you're holding coins, I'm sure everything's fine. If you're leverage trading, be very, very careful. We're in a downwards trend at the moment. There's no reason why we shouldn't. Why we're just suddenly going to pop right back up. But being in a downwards trend isn't the end of the world. When you put it into context, we've been going up since this level. Let's measure this one out from the bottom right to the top. That's a 62% increase. Let's measure this from the top to where we are at price action right now. It's 10%. It's not insignificant. There's a large amount to come back down, but that's what Bitcoin does. That's why we like it. That's why we trade it. Big moves up, big moves down, but big moves up. I think we're more likely to carry on going up on this occasion, but not tonight, maybe not tomorrow. But between now and mid-March, things will have picked up big time by then. I'm still bullish on all of these coins, even XRP, so long as XRP can stay above not just the major moving averages, but stay above this descending trend, which offers us a little bit of flexibility because it's going down every single day. So staying above it is still good. You can see how we're being supported from it every time we test it, closing above it, even on dark days like today, still closing above it. So let's not be too pessimistic about this move, unless of course you're holding Harmony 1, which, like I say, doesn't look good. This itchy cloud cross could take place in a couple of weeks, and I'd be a little bit worried. But again, I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. I'm not into my fundamentals, and fundamentals do mean things. So I appreciate if Harmony 1 has got good fundamentals to it, and there's things that I don't know is going on behind the scenes of this glorious looking chart that we see that just goes down all the way. But don't let me persuade you to buy or sell anything. I'm telling you what I think is attractive, what I don't like, what I do like, and that's all I've got to say about it. Anyway, I hope you have a nice evening. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned.